And you get the luxury of having Katie do the, facilitate this session. She's been an agent since 2005. She is within this brokerage. Her dad, they all work together, David.
Yeah, we started in 1987.
Yeah, so
86.
long-term history, even when she wasn't an agent. It's just in her blood. So, yeah. She's eaten a lot, so she's feeling very stuffed, and she's got the
I'm
fan
really
on.
full.
So all of a sudden, she starts taking her clothes off. Don't worry.
It's like so hot in here. Sorry.
And I'm just gonna be up there, so
Okay.
if you have any questions or anything like that, just yell for me.
Yes. Okay, so this is the very first time I've ever done one of these, so bear with me. And if you have any questions, just ask.
All right.
Be pretty casual, because I'm pretty casual. So what we're gonna do today is talk about pricing strategies for pricing any sort of property and learn to prepare a CMA that will help support for your client how you came up with the price that you're suggesting that they list at. And also there are scripts that you can use for pricing with sellers and objection handling, because everybody always thinks that their house is, you know, way better than it is. And discover standards and techniques to deliver a great CMA and your price recommendation. Okay, now there's this action stuff. I'm not gonna, okay, and like, have you done your 10-4s, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you're supposed to go look at 10 houses. It's really, but what is really good, like the one thing that I took away from taking Ignite like 6 years ago was go see at least 10 houses every week in where you're working the most, because that helps you so much when it comes to pricing, but also with your buyers too, because you can say, oh, you know, that one got 1.6 and this one got 1.8. Well, that one got 1.6 because, you know, it needed this, and this. You can't tell everything off of the photo, so it's really good if you've been in there. You know, you can't tell if there was a leaky basement just from the pictures, right? Or like a weird layout or things like that. So it is important to go and actually see the houses, and if you know that you're going to be up for a listing somewhere, go and look at everything that's for sale in the area at that time. Okay, now you have to say your affirmation. I love the results I get from daily lead generation.
I love the results.
Yeah. So call everybody you know, like work your sphere of influence.
Can I just ask you something? Like,
Yeah.
I think people tend to find it easier to call people that they don't know. Is it okay to call people that we don't know first? Because I'm trying to actually get my sphere of influence's contact information. That's going to take me a while.
Yeah.
I have about 63 people that I have to figure out what their numbers are and their addresses are. So I
Yeah.
can send them thank you.
Yeah, you can call people that you don't know. Just make sure that you are complying with like do not call.
Yeah, I need
lists
to
and
figure out
things
how
like
to.
that. Yeah. Okay, and you guys aren't doing the calling here, right? Okay,
So
and
where do we find those people do not call?
the do not call list.
Yeah.
You can subscribe to like a service. I don't know how much it costs, but it's a lot of agents use it. It's a dialer, and you like wear a headset and Mojo dialer, and it calls like 3 people at once, and then whoever picks up first you talk to, and then it hangs up on the other one. I've never done that, but there are people who use that to
But
quite a bit of
do not
success.
call list, which is we should not call them. How
Yes.
do we find out?
Where you find the do not call list,
Yeah.
you have to pay for that some
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
But if you just get the list of do not call list, I had this talk with Sam. You get a long list of people that you don't know. It's really useless, but it's expensive.
Okay.
It's expensive. But what Katie's saying is obviously a lot more beneficial to what you want
Write notes. Are you guys writing your notes? The notes do go a long way. People really do like those. The handwritten notes.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I want to be.
Oh, for database.
Yeah, write to 2 to 3 people you called to thank them for their time. Or even if you just, if door knocking is your thing, then you can go and knock on somebody's door and then you talk to them if you follow up with a note. It definitely sets you apart because nobody does that.
So Katie, how after, let's say you send the thank you notes,
Mhm.
and it takes, Canada Post,
Mhm.
can take a week.
Yeah,
Let's assume 2 days.
yeah.
So after how much should you phone up? About a week later after you send the thank you note, or?
And again, I am not an expert on the touches, but the Keller Williams model is 8 touches over 8 weeks. So if you send the note and it comes on Thursday, then call them on Monday or Tuesday and say, hi, blah, 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 did you get my note? It's sunny out today, and then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and now
Yeah.
what?
Yeah,
So,
and then,
yeah.
and I find that people don't want to really be sold to a lot, so if you go with them with information, people like to have information. So you can say, did you get my note last week? I just wanted to let you know, I've been looking in your neighborhood, there's 3 new listings out there, this, this, and this. I can let you know what they sell for next week, would that be okay? It's just to keep you updated on what's going on in the neighborhood, right? Because it's not, yeah, it's not pushy, right? A lot of people don't want to be pushed, and eventually they start coming to you. That's what I found.
Yeah, so that's good, because, why am I calling?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, it's someone here, okay.
If you meet people and they're genuinely nice and you want to give them a note, is it best to just hand deliver that? Or?
Yeah, you can hand deliver it too,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is there, I don't know if we're backpedaling here, I don't want to hold up the class, but is there any, I know Canada Post is expensive, 30-something, whatever it is. What's the system you can use as an agent, I forget what it's called, that costs I don't know how much.
For
It's
mailing?
cheaper, yeah, it's cheaper.
Like mass mailing?
I guess so, is that what it is?
Mailing, like actual physical mailing, or sending postcards and stuff?
Yeah, isn't there some kind of system in Canada
Well,
Post that?
Treb has.
Yeah.
Through Treb, you reach out to Canada Post and
Yeah.
you reserve the postal
yeah.
walks that you want to send a
Oh,
postcard
okay.
to.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
And that you get a good discount.
Does it have to be a postcard though, or can it be a note, like a?
Just one you're talking, or you're talking
No,
about months? So this is like 2,000 homes.
Yeah, this
for
is like
example.
saying just listed, or
Okay.
Bob Smith
Flyers.
sells houses.
Okay, so it has to
Yeah.
be several.
Yeah, but if you wanted just,
Do
if
a
you're
note
just
here and
sending
there.
one note card, yeah, you're gonna have to buy a stamp.
Okay.
Yeah,
Or
go to
you can-
Costco, they have the 100 stamps.
Okay.
Yeah, just
Okay.
Yeah, or you can just go deliver it
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, just put on the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Include a business card in each one, stamp and mail from your market center, so from your office. Because you don't want to put your home address.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
So I didn't write anything down as a sender.
Business
Oh,
card,
Okay, hopefully mysterious.
Yeah.
business card,
Yeah, maybe they are more
stamp.
curious
Yeah,
to open up.
Yeah, and just send it, and send it from your office. Or put your office as the return address. Now we've got get your head in the game, page 10.
If your head in the game standpoint, I gotta find my head. Put it in the game.
So this is, they've got this written down as a truth. Pricing has a large mindset component both for you and your seller. So it's really important how to understand where your seller is coming from. What's their motivation for listing, right? Do they have a realistic number in mind, or are they totally out to lunch of the value of their home? What I always do is I'm always very conservative in my evaluations for people's homes, because you don't want to promise a crazy number and then not deliver, right? So your job all the time is, a friend of mine told me this years ago, is you just have to manage their expectations. So for example, a friend of mine, she went for a listing presentation at a house and she told them, you know, I think the market value for this house is 155 to 1.6. And then her friend, it was a friend she was going to do this listing presentation for, said, okay, great, we're just interviewing 2 other people. One of them said, I promise you I'm going to get 1,680, I promise you. So then they listed with that person. They had offers last night and they got 1.6. And so my friend said to the other girl, you know, oh, I'm sorry you didn't get the price that you were promised, right? So they're really disappointed in the person that they listed with, because that person fell way short of what he set the seller's expectations at, right? So, yeah, you can't, and also never say I promised anything. Yeah.
You don't know where the market will
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
You cannot promise.
No,
If you can. But people do that just to get the listings,
Same
so
thing in
competition in
It's
the
gonna be-
area.
yeah.
mhm. And there is nothing worse than having an overpriced listing for a really long time that just sits and sits and sits. I've been there before, it's awful. And you don't want that, everybody ends up getting frustrated. And especially when the seller is completely out to lunch on the value of their home, it ends up being like a gigantic waste of time for everybody, and you're better off like knocking on doors than having your sign on that lawn and sitting in an open house like 8 weekends in a row.
So Katie, have you had a situation that somebody's expectations were so off that you said, I'm sorry, I think it's unrealistic, and
Walk away.
They wouldn't let me out of the agreement, so they wouldn't even let me terminate it. Yeah. So I just, yeah, it just like sat and sat and sat and sat. Yeah. It was
What
awful.
happened? Did it sell?
No, I ended up bringing them, I got them, we were getting offers at market value. This was in North York, they're like on the west side of Yonge, so there was a big correction there after April 2017. They still wanted pre-April 2017 prices. This was the fall of 2017 and spring of 2018. And I was bringing them offers that were at market value, which was still, like, they were good offers, but no, I want more, I can't sell for less. Then I brought them an offer that was at their, like, ridiculous price. And then they wanted $100,000 more, and then, yeah, and I can't,
Realistic.
yeah, you're unrealistic, we can't do this.
so what happened at the end?
Let it expire and then you walk
It
away.
finally expired.
Yes.
Yeah, it was awful though.
So
And
how long, like it was a 6-month thing?
it was listed, I think, like 6 times over, yeah, it was really bad. And because of that, my whole business like suffered
Yeah.
because of that one listing.
Yeah.
And I'm never gonna let that happen again. It was a very expensive lesson for me, and it was really stressful, and it was a really painful lesson for me, but I'm never gonna let myself get into a situation
So
like that again.
your business suffered because you spent a lot
I
of money?
spent too much, I spent $20,000 of my own money,
Oh,
Time,
and
your time.
my whole time,
40,000?
yeah, I was pregnant.
What were you doing to spend that much? Like,
They didn't have money up front to pay for staging, so I covered it. He made me get these stupid books made, like hardbound
oh
feature
wow.
sheet book. Like, it was nuts. It was awful. And I put so much time and effort into it because they were repeat clients. They were a referral from very good clients of mine, and I didn't want to let the referral down. And I was pregnant. It ruined the end of my pregnancy. It ruined the beginning of like my son's life because I was so stressed about it. It was awful. And my business, like, because I was so focused on that, I wasn't paying attention to anybody else.
Yeah.
Everything else was kind of put on the back burner. And never again.
So what the whole beside the market crash is the main things,
Yeah.
but anything else that you feel bad about it?
That I felt bad, they didn't close on their purchase either, so.
Yeah, they got that
Yeah.
policy.
So what happened with the property?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's- They still live there, they still live there,
there.
yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
They didn't close on their
got that
purchase.
In misery.
Oh, they didn't close on their purchase.
So,
Isn't it amazing how
Why-
people's state of mind prevents them from, like,
Yeah.
sell it already.
yeah, like,
One
yeah,
that's
you want, like, you
100,000.
could lose, you could get $100,000 less here, but you're gonna lose a lot more on the other side.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna lose your deposit, you will be sued. So,
I have one more question, Katie. So how would you avoid this? Or how are you avoiding this types of situation? Because you have to go through the listing presentation
Yeah.
first, right?
yes,
And
so.
get signed.
What I say when I'm talking to people is, I say like, this is, and we'll really get into it through here, but I always say I'm very conservative with my evaluations because I don't want to promise you something that I don't know I can't deliver. So my conservative estimate is this is the number that you should use for all of your evaluations, and anything over that is, you have to consider that as a bonus.
So when you sign with them initially, like usually the max is 6 months, like, right? Like you
No,
get
you
them
can,
to
you
initial.
can, no, you get them to initial it, but you can have a listing for a year or 2 years,
Oh,
you can
okay.
do for it as
So how
long
long were you
as you want.
with them?
Altogether, it was like 8 months or 9
Oh,
months.
wow.
Yeah.
So then I guess initials,
No, it was like different listings, or
Oh.
like different, like always changing the price. It was a nightmare. Yeah.
but don't they have to initial though? Because you're with them for longer than 6 months. Like-
Well, they were
Oh, they're
different
different
agreements,
listings.
different
Oh,
listings.
Listings, so this
Yeah.
one, you know. will
Terminated,
expire.
next one
Oh.
terminated, next one
So
terminated.
then
Yeah.
each one,
Yeah.
each one you have to sign again?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Haven't got to that. All these
Um,
questions I have.
yeah,
That's
Price.
wonderful.
yeah. Pricing is a process. You have to learn to do it well, and it requires knowing pricing strategies based on the principles that drive markets. So the way you're gonna price a house in like Leslieville is gonna be really different than the way you're gonna price a house in like Richmond Hill, right? They're two very different markets. So you have to be watching and know what's going on in your like micro market rather than the overall market. That's why real estate's really neighborhood specific.
Yeah.
Right? You will use your knowledge and expertise in pricing and presentation to win the seller's agreement on the list price, a price that will get their home sold. What I always say too now when we're going to a listing appointment is there's 3 things that really drive the sale of the house. The most important thing is the price. It's how the pictures online and how it looks in person, right? So you've got to have a really good price that attracts people. You have to have good photography. You can't take pictures with your cell phone. And your listing needs to look amazing because that's what buyers expect now.
Can I ask, like, who do you use for your listings in this company? Like, is there someone that comes in and does the photography?
I have someone. There's so many.
Yeah, you can use whoever.
I can send you my
Yeah.
person. They're pretty inexpensive.
Inexpensive?
Inexpensive for like a 1.5 million home, well, which is nothing, bungalow in that area.
Uh-huh.
That's my area.
Mhm.
They charge like 130, 140, something
Oh,
like
that's
that.
excellent. And do they do a
And
floor
video
plan?
and everything.
Oh, really? And do they do a floor plan? A floor plan? Like sometimes you'll be
Always
asked-
get a floor plan.
No,
No?
well, I never ask.
Yeah.
Why do you want?
Because it's a nice thing to have attached to the listing,
Probably just
Never
charge
done,
another
never.
20
right?
$20
Yeah,
bucks.
they charge you, I pay like $300 for a floor plan.
Oh, for just the floor plan?
Yeah.
Well,
My
where do you
photos
get it
and
from?
floor plans are $1,000.
So you get the floor plan, but you don't get the floor, don't you get it from a builder?
No, you have,
How
They
does
can
all
do
do that? Yeah,
the
we-
photographer, yeah, usually they offer that now. The company I use
Is that
does.
right? Okay.
So they just measure and everything, and you just verify
They
the
drew
measurements?
floor plans.
And you just verify that?
Mhm.
because I would want to verify.
Yeah, yeah,
And as an agent, do you have that electronic measure thing?
yeah. I'm not one of those laser ones.
That
Dad
was like
buys
one of
them
my
for
like
everybody.
nightmares, like what if I measure wrong?
Yeah,
No,
Yeah.
you need that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's pretty accurate, isn't it?
yeah, the laser ones are pretty accurate, but the floor plans are a nice thing to also have attached to your
Yeah.
listing. And that's also another thing that you can bring into your listing presentation is, you know, I'm charging you this because I provide some of the best photography in Toronto, beautiful feature sheets. You're gonna have a website for your listing that's like 123mainstreet.com, and also floor plans and, you know, home inspection or whatever else you wanna include in your.
Does
your
Keller
listing.
Williams like do anything around like website, like in terms of, you know, featuring a property or anything, like what? Or do you create like a website, like what?
I don't know anything about making a website, but the photography company that I use and who makes my feature sheets, they make up a website for each
They do a
listing.
lot. Well, mine is
Yeah.
$130, you know.
Yeah, that's
So
reasonable.
They do pictures and video.
Okay, well, that's pretty good. So let's just see if we can add the floor plan and the, just try and negotiate. And see if we can get a price for the
Yeah.
website. I can help you
Thank you.
negotiate. I'm a good negotiator.
Great.
This is what my website looks like.
Wow.
Third, yeah.
It's a staging, right?
Leaside, that's Leaside.
Mhm.
You do a lot of listings in Leaside?
We work everywhere, but I live just on the other side of Bayview and Davisville, so.
So, no, that's
Yeah.
a different topic. The information that you have on the property, their neighborhood, that's. how
This
you-
is all, this all comes from the company who does it,
That's
so,
amazing.
yeah. And then they have some statistics, which is also helpful
Oh, they have
as well. Yeah,
Where are the statistics from? Like, oh, from March?
Yeah.
You can get them from Trap very
Yeah.
easily.
They
So
get
I
them from
use
Trap.
those for my features.
Nice thing that you just do everything.
yeah, and they're up to
No,
date,
but
'cause-
they're more expensive, right? They're a lot more expensive.
Well, don't tell them how much she's paying. Let's see if we can negotiate.
Oh, yeah.
So pricing is one of the most absolutely essential real estate success skills, because if you have a listing and it's priced wrong, it's either gonna sit or you're not gonna sell for the proper value, right? And you may be, if you list too low, you may be, you know, screwing over your client because you listed too low. To become a pricing master, you must understand how the markets work, local market conditions, and pricing criteria. Markets operate on supply and demand, like we all know this, right? So in a location where there's not a lot of new product coming out, the prices, there's likely to be competition, it's gonna drive up the price. But if you're, you know, for example, at Young and Shepherd, and there's been a severe market correction there, right? It's important, you're not likely to get multiple offers, so it's important to price it right. Determine the value. It is established on an agreement between a willing seller and a willing buyer. The tug of war is always between what the seller wants to pay and what the buyer is willing to pay. So, question, what is the current supply in our market now? I'm asking you that. This is, since I have to ask this question.
What is the,
Suppliers are usually, you know, right?
It's
It's a lot in the market.
better now than it
It's
was
starting to
2
heat
months
up.
ago.
It's starting to go up, isn't it? Like, I haven't been on Travis, but I see that it's starting to heat up.
Do you think that,
There's a spring market.
yeah, so it's,
oh, you're talking about what
Like-
is the market doing?
yeah, what's the current supply now? It depends on the neighborhood, right?
Yeah, sure.
So you've got to look, you know, in, yeah, so for example, in Leaside right now, there isn't that much for sale that's like really great for, like that's turnkey, move-in ready. Or in, for example, in like Riverdale has been hot for a really, really long time, but Riverdale is always suffering from a shortage of listings. There's lots of people who want to live there. And no matter what you've got there, it's gonna sell really high, really fast. In our market, who has the upper hand, the seller or the buyer?
Right now, it's,
Is it a buyer now?
It depends,
Yeah.
depends on the product.
Yeah.
I guess if it's a Riverdale, it's the seller.
Yeah,
Oh,
If
okay.
it's a Shepherd,
Yeah.
it's the buyer.
yeah, exactly. In Toronto especially, everything is really neighborhood specific. So whenever you're going into a listing presentation or to talk about price, really know the neighborhood that you're in really well. That's really important. To price accurately and to sell, you must constantly study the conditions in your local market and the specific neighborhoods. Watch how much is for sale and if inventory is rising or falling. Watch the average days on market. Are things selling quickly or are they taking, 30, 60 days to sell? Price per square foot. This is good for, I would say, for condos, looking at price per square foot. I don't really use it as an indicator for pricing houses. But we did just do a presentation and we did use price per square foot because it's Ontario, so it's land value mostly. So we looked at all of the lots in the area that had sold and did a breakdown that way because it's a little bit more harder to price. And changes in the local landscape. Monitor changes in major employers, shopping, schools, other services in the community, and changes in local laws that impact housing. That's more American, I would say. Price changes in the local landscape, like major changes, monitor changes in the major employers. People don't really live and work in the same place here, right? Most people commute to work wherever it is, and changes in local laws that impact housing. I can't really think of anything that would impact housing.
Wasn't there like
Is that foreign tax?
taxes on
That was
there?
about-
Yeah.
Taxes.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, good point.
well, the land
Taxes
tax
as well as
foreign tax
for investments, they can't do Airbnb in some places, and, if we can rent out a property to buy, to rent out.
Mhm.
So that would also be like I would say.
Well, the Airbnb thing has been, the city council has put that on the back burner now, but eventually it will come up.
Because it brings the city money anyways.
Yeah, because the
So
city's
they're
gonna
not
want-
address it
Yeah,
now. They
it's
like
gonna
it.
want money
So
for that.
The city and the province, like the city's obviously charging double on the transfer tax, which they have since 2008. Is there any talk about removing that or not?
Your government relations committee at the Toronto Real Estate Board, which I am on, lobbies the councillors, and I just met with Josh Matlow last week to talk about land transfer tax again, and we've been talking to them for over 10 years about it. It is not a reliable revenue source. There was a major shortfall last year because there weren't as many sales. And the city needs to stop relying on this for their general revenue. However, they can't seem to come up with a solution to fund what they need other than this land transfer tax, which is an unfair tax that targets people when they can least afford it. Because I know that when we bought our house, the amount of money that we paid in land transfer tax cost as much as we spent on renovating our house.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Like, I just moved like less than a kilometer away and it was like, I think it was 30 grand.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And that was the first year that we took 2008.
Mhm. And there is a proposal to raise it over another half point, over $3 million. So,
If the property's only 3 million.
yes.
Well, that's like huge.
It's fun.
We could probably afford it at that point.
No.
But it's not fair.
Why?
It's a lot of money and it's not for anything. What would be more, there should be something more equitable, like a property tax increase overall. Yeah. Like I know that I understand that there's not a lot of sympathy for people who can afford a $3 million property, But on the other hand, it's just not, it's not reliable and it's not equitable, right? So,
Well, if they stop selling contracts to their friends and family,
mhm,
they could probably save some money.
Right.
yeah.
Like billions of money.
Mhm.
Did you say that to them?
No. Well, yes, if you were stop being such dirty politicians. Pricing criteria. You've got to price the house that you're looking at against comparable properties. So if you've got, you know, a 3-bedroom semi-detached house, you're gonna compare that to other 3-bedroom semi-detached houses in the area that you're looking at. Or what Dad often does is close, like maybe not in the very exact same neighborhood and go out a little bit more, because if you can afford like 1.1 here, you also might be looking nearby for 1.1 because it's close enough. So what I do is I start with like a big circle or a big geographic area, and then I pull all those, and then I drill it down more to the immediate area. And you go back, I like to go back 3 months, but if there's not that much to choose from, then 6 months. And then I like to look back for a year on that specific street as well, to see what's happened in the last year on that street. You've got to think about location, size, amenities, and condition. So is the lot size the same? Because lot size is a big deal. There's a big difference between a 25-foot frontage on a semi-detached house versus a 17. Like that's a big difference. The location, is it like, does it back onto train tracks? Is it on a busy street? Does it have parking? Parking's a big thing in the city. Amenities, I don't know what they mean.
Like
More
TCCs
yeah,
and
yeah,
libraries and things
Yeah.
like that.
So are they walkable to certain things, and the condition? So is it in good condition? Is it in fair condition, or is it in poor condition? What's going on in our community that may impact housing long term?
What can impact the?
Immigration.
Immigration, yeah,
That's a big one.
yeah,
Interest rates?
Government?
yeah, interest rates,
Sorry? Yeah, interest rates, I think
Mhm.
government,
yeah,
governments, all of them.
Taxes?
yeah. Okay. Okay, and then it says your term market statistics. What are the current local market statistics in your targeted areas?
So we'll have to look into that.
Yeah, that just
Yeah.
depends.
Yeah, so that just depends on where you're doing your CMA for. So if you are looking to do a CMA in, you know, York region, the days on market is a lot higher than like central Toronto, right?
Basically, always check the area itself
Yeah,
for
yeah.
that house.
Mhm. A lot of it is kind of no-brainer. It's just how you deliver it, and to be confident about your price and having things to back it up.
Sometimes you have difficulties because there's not enough units being sold in
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
area, so
Yeah.
it's really gonna be hard,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, sometimes they're harder ones to price, right? So you go with things that are the closest to it. So are you talking about a condo or
Houses.
anything? So a house.
Because
So yeah, a detached house, and it's a unique property. So if it is something that's unique, you always preface this by saying, this one is a little bit more difficult to price because of the uniqueness of it, right? There isn't really anything like it. So these are my thoughts on it. You've got a really great kitchen and really nice bathrooms, but you know, all your bathrooms are in the basement, which is unusual. So Good luck selling it. I don't want this listing.
Have you ever turned down a listing?
Yes,
And what could be a reason why?
because they wanted way too much money.
Oh.
Yeah. Like,
Cannot make
So what do you
magic.
say? How do you graciously decline that?
thank you for the opportunity, but we do not think that we will be able to meet your expectations.
Okay. Do you door knock?
No.
Referral from family.
Pardon?
Referral usually.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to
Yeah,
make
It was,
referrals.
yeah, well, because my dad has been working for so long, a lot of our business is referral. So the person who we turned down, it was like he called me, it's like, I have a $5 million house. You have to come see it, I want you to list it. And we went and looked at it, and it was a huge house, and it was a really nice house, but it was not a $5 million house for the location.
Oh, boy.
And they wanted 5 million, it was built into a hill, it had only parking for one car,
Wow.
it had no
5 million
garage,
I wouldn't know that,
One
at least have to have like 6 parking
Yeah.
spots at least.
and so many stairs, it had an elevator, and it's like, I want you to stage it, and like, the cost of the staging will eat up the entire
Do you
commission.
usually
Yeah.
stage? Do you offer that?
It depends on the house, and so every situation is different. Sometimes the client will pay, like if somebody's buying a $4 million house and I'm selling their house, I'll pay for the staging. But if somebody's not, you know, if they're only selling and there isn't anything on the buy side, then I'll say, here, I'll have a staging consultation and here it is. And most of the time they expect to pay.
Yeah.
But they're usually when people are buying and selling, because it's so much that I will pay for the staging.
Yeah, and I imagine a lot of the Keller Williams agents have some good stagers that they recommend. And you talk about that in the listing presentation.
Yeah. So there's lots of different stagers. There's one, I work with one and she's amazing. Like she did this house, it's fantastic. But they're all at different price points too. So like she's a little bit more expensive, but you get more money for it. So for example, this house last week,
Yeah, just that alone is about the house.
You probably have the before shots, right?
I don't have anyone before. So this house, like look at this tiny house, it's at Woodbine and Lumsden on the other, like on the east side of Woodbine. I told them to expect 900, we listed to attract a lot of attention. 3 bedrooms, funny layout. And it sold for $982,500 and we got 11 offers.
985. And so they staged that. It looks
Yeah.
like it's all redone though.
Yeah, it's renovated, but I told them we should, like, the market value for this house is 900.
Yeah. Oh, so you really low.
Well, that was my estimate.
So you
Because
get
it
more
didn't have,
offers,
it didn't
yeah.
have any,
comparable.
it was a funny layout.
Yeah.
It was hard to compare because the house was built lot line to lot line, so it was bigger than most of the bungalows in the area, but we had no parking. The layout was kind of odd.
So in your mind, it was right in like the middle of like what it should go for,
Yeah,
but you got a lot more for it.
yeah, so the living room and dining room were really small, then there's these bedrooms, and then there's a bedroom off the kitchen. Like, that's a weird layout.
Do you put the price actually on a listing? Because I've noticed in some open houses, they don't even put the price on it.
Just on the listing sheet, but not on the feature sheet in case you have to change the price.
Yeah, so it's on the
Yeah.
MLS,
Yeah.
but it's not on.
Yeah.
They don't broker load here, right? Like you have to input everything into MLS?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not hard though, right?
No, it's not hard. So this one, like the staging definitely got them extra money.
How
much was that? Yeah.
How much did it cost?
Yeah.
The staging?
Yeah.
$6,000
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
wow.
pretty good though.
It's the first month.
for the first month.
Because
Yeah.
it's like,
28
it looks
days.
like somebody's living there,
Yeah.
with the amount of furniture they brought in.
Yeah.
6,000 is pretty good, eh?
I think it's very good for the
After a
amount
month,
of,
you gotta pay like rental or?
After a month,
Average, like for that. What's the average?
this one, what was it?
depends where you go or what you want there.
I wouldn't mind some contacts, like some contact names.
We have a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah, sure. It's a lot.
I just want good, like, good,
They're all good.
yeah, yeah. I use
Melody
stage
Melody
right.
has
but
a
I-
staging company. Melody. The other lady in
Oh.
purple.
Oh, she has her own?
This one, also, like, it makes such a difference.
It does.
So we moved everything that these people owned out of the house. The couch is theirs. And the dining room table, but everything else
Yeah, I guess if we can
was
use,
brought in.
if they have good furniture.
And the kitchen
Nice.
was
Yeah.
20 years old. This kitchen is 20 years old.
It's good.
The-
So did you pay for that or did they pay for it?
I paid for this,
Okay.
because they bought a big house. The
Okay.
kitchen, the bathroom here is like from the 1970s. And we didn't have parking. And this sold, this was listed at $1,000,001 and it sold for 1,286. And this was back in January, one just sold on Monday in the same neighborhood, busier street, but much larger lot with parking, sold for 1,228. Way more payment.
And you got 1, 2, what?
1,286.
Okay, that's good. You did well.
So the
Yeah.
staging really, like,
Was the other one staged, do you know?
yeah, the other one was staged, but yeah, it, like,
Picture
People
time
don't-
staging.
yeah, she did a house for me once, the basement was unfinished, and these people came in and bought it on a bully offer, this was like years ago. And she just threw a sheet up in the basement, and the floors were painted white, and a rug and some like puffs. And then when they came back for a buyer visit, they said, we didn't know the basement wasn't finished.
Oh my goodness.
So it pays, the staging pays. And that's usually how you get,
They didn't realize that it wasn't finished?
So did they try and get out of it?
no, they liked the house, but, and so we didn't
It
realize.
was your buyer or the seller?
And my seller, yeah.
So is it generally like, I hate to ask this because it's probably like an ignorant question, like, do you ever go over 2.5%, like, for your, like?
On
commission?
my commission?
Yeah, does anyone ever go over that?
You
Or
totally can, yeah, you can. I have yet to
do that?
to do that, but you can.
But that's
I have friends who do, like I have a friend who charges 6%. I had a friend who charged 7.5 before, yeah.
7.5.
Mhm.
Because generally the two brokerages split 5%, so how do you get away with
Because
charging
he
that much more?
did so much for this house, he was like, I'm not, and it was also, it was a hard sell, and it was a luxury property, like, out in the country, and he was like, I'm not doing this for less than 7.5%.
But 7.5, another brokerage gets 2.5.
No, 7.5 total, so
Oh,
yeah, so
oh.
we got 5.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Mhm.
And, oh, okay, and then your brokerage took 5, or his brokerage took
Yeah.
5.
But I mean, it's, you can,
Wow.
there is no set commission, right? So you can charge whatever you want.
So how do you justify that though? What do you say to the client?
This is what I'm paying for your listing, and it's coming out of my pocket before I'm even getting paid.
Yeah, and they may change their mind
Mhm.
and not sell, so this is
Yeah.
the money gone from your
Yeah.
pocket.
So I say like I say, by the time the sign goes, if I'm paying for everything, by the time my sign goes on your lawn, I've spent close to $10,000
Yeah.
of my own money, plus my time.
Yeah.
So I'm not working for less than
I would
5%.
I would always ask, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, for them to pay up front. I'll reimburse them. Because I would be afraid of them it not selling or
You
them
can,
backing out.
you can ask for that and say like, we'll adjust it on closing, like
Yeah.
off of the commission.
I think that's like a smart way to do it, because
But then again,
Most
if
of the
you
time, they won't do it.
they won't.
yeah, but I've had people, not for my listing, but for somebody for Sam's listing. I went to, he was negotiating with them, so, and they said, well, you pay for the staging. And he said, well, I don't know, you may want to use a company that charges you $10,000. And it's a small house, but, you know, you pay for it, and I pay you up to $2,000 or $3,000.
Oh, okay, that's a good idea.
That's what he negotiated. But I mean, sometimes you can afford to do that and write it off of your income. You have to pay to the government anyways, right? So you write it off your income. If it doesn't happen, well,
So,
I guess it's harder, like for us, when we start out, and now I
Yeah.
haven't made a penny,
Yeah.
only spent, and now
Yeah.
I'm spending
I mean, some
$10,000
already
out
have
of
with
pocket.
just this. If they don't mention it, you can ask them, you can give them your stage, like the staging company. I don't think I'll offer it at the beginning anyway. But you're saying that most clients won't go for being reimbursed after?
I found that with the people I'm working with, they're not, the ones who aren't gonna be paying for it themselves, they're not prepared to pay up front and then be reimbursed. But I do know other people who say this is how we do it. That's just not how I do it. You can do whatever you
I
want.
guess it depends
Yeah.
on the client,
Yeah.
right? It depends on the client. Some people will go for it, some people you can't. Some people, as you said, they expect you to pay for it.
Yeah.
And then you charge them a higher commission and they don't mind it.
Because some people, if you're gonna do everything for them and they don't have to do anything,
Yeah.
they don't mind paying more.
What percent can you go up to then?
Whatever you want.
Whatever you want, there's no
Yes.
ceiling on it?
No.
You can charge whatever you want. I mean, you can't be, you'd be like kind of dumb to be ridiculous about it, but, you know, you can.
If you go charge only $1,000 or even less to put your property on the market. So it's just crazy.
But there is a minimum, I think.
No.
Right?
No,
There's
you
no
can charge,
minimum.
there's,
You can put
that's,
somebody-
that's price fixing, yeah,
Let's go fee.
yeah. Okay. Know what sells. There's little point in winning a listing if it does not sell. To get a home sold for the most money in the least amount of time, it must be priced in the market. There are two determining factors.
Sorry,
This
what
is
page is this?
page
14.
Oh, thank you.
14. Price and condition. Comparatively priced properties must present in the best possible condition outside and inside the home. So you want your listing to show really well, both inside and outside. So, I mean, we've had really bad weather, but if you can like paint the front door, just make everything look really fresh, make sure that like everything was swept and raked up and
Like listening.
Yeah, yeah.
After snowstorms. Like
Yeah,
listening to
yeah.
Photographers. and
Yeah.
themselves.
if the backyard looks like nice and clean, you don't have garbage all over the place, right? And you always need to say to your sellers, the way you sell your house and the way you live in your house are two totally different things, right? The graphic below shows the combined selling power of the right price and great property condition. The percentage of buyers who will look at a property increases and decreases in direct proportion to the property's price compared to market value. Pricing above the market doesn't get you showings. Pricing at or just below the market does. So if you've got like a tiny little shed and you're selling it for like $3 million, you're not gonna get any showings, right? But if you price it at, $799 when it's worth $900, you're gonna get a lot of activity. Know what the seller and you can and can't control. An important part of the pricing process is to help your sellers understand that sales representatives and sellers don't determine the purchase price of their home. So that it's not, the market speaks to the value, right? Especially when you do a competitive, like attractive list price and hold back offers, that will be the market dictating the value of the house. So the things that you can control are how it looks, you can control showings. So what I always recommend is that you move out and not live there all the time your house is for sale, so it always looks good. Your positioning in the market, so that would be the price. In the end, the value is determined solely by what a buyer is willing to pay in today's market based on comparing yours to others currently on the market for sale. I don't determine the market value, and neither do you. The market determines the value. Does this make sense? Yes. The best chance to sell a home is when it first comes on the market. Sellers need to be clear on this. There is a window of opportunity that opens and closes quickly. The following graphic depicts how buyer interest climbs rapidly when a listing hits the market and declines after the first month. So, you know, you've got a new listing, it comes out, there's lots of showings, but if you aren't priced properly, like 3 weeks from now, the showings are really gonna come down, and your odds of getting an offer where your list prices are like falling every day.
Can I ask you something? So we're kind of green agents, right?
Mhm.
We price it wrong,
Yeah,
and we don't have much activity.
Yeah.
We screwed up.
yeah.
What would you suggest we do? Because we want to fix that.
So if you're green and you're not totally sure,
Yeah.
I go all the time helping colleagues, like not just from our office, but other offices too. Like I went to 2 yesterday, I helped 2 people from other brokerages price listings. So call 5 people in and say, look, I've got 123 Main Street coming on the market. Would you be able to pop by and give me an opinion on where you think, like what the value is and where we should think about listing?
Oh, they were even with Keller Williams.
Yeah, so I went to one yesterday for a friend at Chestnut Park and a friend at Johnston and Daniel.
Okay.
And there were like 5 agents at both, and then we all just like blah 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 blah, blah talked like.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah, and it's it's good because you know what's coming up in the neighborhood, but it's also good because you can say to your seller, I had 5 colleagues through, we were all in agreement, the list price should be near, you know,
That's good.
1349, and we'll hold back offers until next Tuesday, and because of this product is a little bit quirky, so, you know, 1349 might be the market value, and that's where it will be because it's a funny property. We're not gonna list it too low and risk not getting
Yeah.
what
So did you
we want.
see the property then? Because you were at another agent open house, or what? You were talking to other agents at another
Yeah,
open house?
so my friend said, can you come to this house? It was like in Summerhill, and I went yesterday morning and I looked through the house and I said, I think that you should price it at this.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
That's good.
Yeah, yeah. And people want to help out. Like,
Yeah.
unless somebody, you have to kind of be a jerk not to want to
Yeah.
help out
Do
your
they give
colleagues.
you anything, like, when you, like, help, or is it just like a favor?
It's just like it's,
Okay.
yeah,
Thank you for
yeah.
volunteers.
No, you don't need to, like, I'm happy to do it because I have people looking in that area. I had a
Oh, okay.
listing near there in the fall, and I met a lot of people at the open house
Okay.
who I'm still talking to. So it also benefits me because I can now say to those people, just a heads up, I know this is coming out on the market soon.
Okay.
If you want information, I've got early access to photos and floor plans and home inspection if that's what you're interested in.
Okay, great.
So if you are ever worried about pricing, just call
Yeah,
a
just in
few
the beginning, I
colleagues.
think.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
probably always, like, it's always good to chat.
yeah, yeah. And,
Camaraderie is good.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
all- the
yeah.
more information, the more you see, the better it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you meet somebody else,
Do
or who
you
knows what.
usually check with other people, or do you just kind of, do you know?
Yeah, I ask friends all the time.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Price to reflect market movement. Pricing requires facts and numbers, yet it's also an art of persuasion. Choosing the right comparable properties is a big step in the right direction. We're talking about how you have to make your house look good.
I was just coming to say,
Oh.
good job, Katie.
Yours,
So what page are you?
I'm on
Oh, you
page
can-
16.
Can you project the page you're on this?
Yeah.
Oh, you can, oh, that would be great. I'm very slow.
So this is being taped, right?
Yeah,
So we could
it'd
watch
be
it
really
live,
awkward
right?
to watch, yeah. Price to reflect market movement. So You have to help your sellers understand how the right price impacts the marketability and saleability of their home. Marketability and saleability are determined by the following: whether the market is going up or down, and how quickly the prices are changing and what the rate of change is. You can't, the worst thing to do is to chase the market, so you want to price ahead of the market, and that's why it's so important not to overprice.
Meaning, ahead of the market, meaning like if it's on its way down,
Yeah.
you'd have to price according to what it's gonna be.
Yeah, so if you know that prices are down, like this week versus 2 weeks ago, it probably would have sold for more, but you're looking at the trends and seeing things are coming down a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't price it 2 weeks ago's price. Price here, and also prepare your sellers.
Right.
Say, people can't argue with facts and numbers, right? So it's always important to have as much information and give that to your sellers.
Do you, do anything with Trub for figuring this out? Because I haven't gone on Trub yet. You're doing your CMA?
So you can do a TREB CMA.
Is that what
Um,
yours is?
Dad and I use, when we do like an evaluation, you can use the TREB one, which is quick to use. We also, when we're doing a whole property evaluation, it takes hours and hours, and we have, I can give you like the template that we use. He's been
Okay.
using the same one for a really long time, and I'm sure it's like pretty outdated, but that's what we use.
What's his name, your dog?
David Young. But it goes really it goes really in depth.
No, that takes hours.
It takes a really long time, because you're like, I'm not that good at like cutting and pasting and putting things, it's like a whole Word document of this big thing, big room.
Oh, and does he present that to the?
You can email it to them or take it to them and then go through it. What I do the most though is I don't even do that. I just take all the listings and I make notes on each listing and
From the
say,
area.
yeah,
And
of the
that is
area.
similar.
Yeah,
Right.
and I highlight the lot size, the bedrooms, when it's sold, the list price and the sale price. And then notable features, like it's got a brand new kitchen or it's got a family room addition. Things like that. I like to do, that's what I do the most.
Yeah.
And then you can also add the market stats for that specific area.
Yeah, you can do that too. And you can just pull those off of
But I think
MarketWatch.
that's good because it's, otherwise it can be overwhelming too.
Yeah, that other way might
Right,
be
if you
overwhelming.
bombard them with all this.
Oh, yeah,
So they're not gonna look at that.
Do you think your dad's
They're
way is
interested in
better?
their area, they want to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you think his way is better, or your way is just as good, or what do you think? Because if it takes hours, I can't see myself sitting there for hours, and I'd get overwhelmed and probably confused.
It's pretty straightforward. It does take a really long time, and like some people really like it, but then others,
But yours wouldn't take that long, like hours.
no. But the one that, what I do is I take all the listings, and then I also have them in the email so they can click through the brochure.
Yeah.
So I pick all the listings that I'm using as comps. I send those to myself, the client copy. Don't send the broker copy to people. I send the client copy to myself and I say, I'm leaving these with you. I've made my notes on them, but I'm also going to send you an email shortly that has all these listings, and then you can click through the photos.
So your notes obviously don't have the pictures.
Well, it's just the listing. It's
Yeah.
just the front picture, right?
I haven't gone on Trub, so.
Don't chase the market price ahead of it. Your ability to be knowledgeable of the current market pays off when it comes to any kind of shifting market, whether shifting up or down, or even in a stable market. In a rising market, sellers feel time is on their side, may price above the current market and hope the market will catch up and bring them the price they want. This is not true, because if your listing's been on the market for like 2 weeks in Toronto, people think there's something wrong with it, it's stale, your price too high.
After 2 weeks.
Yeah.
What did you end up saying when I said if we priced wrong? What did you end up saying? What was your answer? Like, would you
Well, you
relist
wouldn't-
it?
Well, you
Oh,
wouldn't
you said
price
to your
wrong, because
friends.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you're not sure, bring people
Okay.
in
Okay.
for,
But if
Do
you were
anything
in
else.
the interest of time, didn't know enough people or didn't bring people in, Would you relist it? Like, what would you do? Would you take?
Yeah,
Okay.
You'd have to say, look, we read the market wrong. The market is telling us we haven't had any showings, so that's showing us that we're priced too high. Because if it's presented really well and you're not having any showings, you know it's because of the price, right? When the prices are falling, sellers make a huge mistake by pricing too high, hoping to attract the offer they want and thinking they will drop the price later if that strategy doesn't work. The reality is most sellers who do this never correct enough to keep up with the price reality. So buyers are always faster to adjust to market fluctuations than sellers. Do you agree?
Say it again.
Yeah.
So if market's
Yes.
changing,
Yeah.
buyers are quicker to adjust to the changing market than sellers.
Yeah.
So if prices are going down,
Of course,
They're gonna buy right
yeah,
away.
but sellers are still, like, you still will meet sellers who like wish that it was
Because they want
spring
to
of
have as much as they
2017.
want.
Yeah, right? If you have to bring them into reality and say, okay, well, we're not there now, we're here, and this is what's happening now.
Does-
It's like with anything, right? When it's yours, you think it's a lot more
Yeah,
worth, or it's precious, and the
Mhm.
emotions
Yeah.
are,
yeah,
whatever memories you created with
Yeah.
this house in this
Yeah.
case,
Because
so.
in the spring of 2017, like a $2.5 million house is probably what, 1.8 now?
well, it depends on where it is,
Yeah,
but yeah.
so that's what you're seeing, like a lot lower, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't be afraid to be honest.
I like that.
That's number 6.
Yeah.
Pricing right is hard work, but it's worth it because it gets your sellers to their goals and you make money for your business. Professional honesty is your best approach. It means understanding where the customers are coming from and being professional enough to stand up for them and tell them the truth about tough topics, such as the market conditions, the property condition, the features, amenities, the location, buyer and buyer representative feedback, and comparable property sales. So, for example, you know, Donna and I have a listing right now that we're co-listing. The people bought the house in the spring of 2017 and they paid way too much.
Oh.
yeah.
And now they want to move, and it's probably, they put a lot of money into it, and it's probably not worth,
That's the one year.
Yeah. very much more than what they paid for it. But we are committed to selling the house for them for as much money as possible. But we are also, Donna every day is showing them what's coming up for sale in their neighborhood, what's selling, you know, and pointing out, this was just listed down the street from you, it's totally renovated, it has a beautiful kitchen, really nice main bathroom. Yours has like a kind of updated kitchen, but your bathroom's really old. So you just have to show them that to bring them down to where the market is, right? Mhm. And another thing that you can say is, we can try your price. I don't recommend it. But if we don't have 10 showings within 10 days,
Is that kind of a rule of thumb?
Yeah.
Showing for 10 days?
we should drop the price. And you always, whenever you have a listing, always be in touch with them. Like, don't let them come to you and say, what's your feedback? You call them every day. You, like, always be so communicative and say, this is who came through today. They really liked your basement, but they didn't like the kitchen, or they're thinking about it, you know, they don't like the school. Like, anything that you can tell them, because just give them as much information as possible.
Yeah.
Here is a short script to address pricing honestly. Do you want me to tell you the truth, or do you want me to tell you what you want to hear?
Short and sweet. Have you used that exactly? Or
How do
similar?
you because like I'm overwhelmed with all these scripts, right?
Yeah,
So
I
do I
don't-
take it each type of
So,
script at a time?
I'm not a script person.
But you went through the process of like kind of internalizing?
Yeah, you just kind of, the more you do it, it just kind of becomes part, like,
More natural.
yeah, do you want, I don't want to get your hopes up, and I don't want to promise you something that I don't think that I can deliver. That's why I'm very conservative in my evaluations. And I always want you to use the lowest number possible for your, like, all of your planning. Because I don't want to promise you, I don't want to get your hopes up and say that you're going to get this crazy number when I can't guarantee that.
Yeah.
Like a dog, maybe in sandwiches.
Yeah. Okay, sure. Because share a story from your listing experience about a moment when professional honesty was necessary and paid off. So, for example, I was listing a loft and it was my oldest friend. And I said, I think, you know, it was really hard to price because it's a hard loft. You don't know, like, what it's gonna sell for, because you need, like, the financing can be funny because it's live work. And it was part office, part living space. It was weird, right? But it was a great location and it looked cool. And I said, I'm gonna be really conservative and I think that it's probably worth $1,050,000 to $1,1 million. And they paid like $700,000 for it 3 years before, so they were making a lot of money. They'd done a lot of work though. And then I had a couple of other people come in, and one of them said, I think that you would get 1.1. What did I say? $1,050,000 to 1.1. No, she said, I think you can get $1,150,000 to $1.2 million. And I said to them, use my number because it's the lowest number for all of your calculations for your next purchase. Anyways, so it's a couple. One of them didn't listen to me and used the bigger number because he liked that number more. And I was like, hold on. Don't, like, please don't use that number. They were like huge. They were screaming and yelling at each other. Anyways, it comes to list it, and they said, we really want to list at 1.2, and I said, I don't recommend it. I think we should list it at $1,099,000, and yeah, we'll see what happens there. No, $1.2 million, $1.2 million, and I said, fine, I'll list it at $1.2 million. I hope you prove me wrong. But if like, I want you to sign a price change now for 1 week. Like 1 week from now, you can sign it. Well, it goes on the market. Somebody walks into the agent's open house. She already lived in the building and she wanted that unit, so she bought it for full price.
Is it full price?
Yeah.
What?
Oh, wow.
$1.2 million.
She remembered that you
And I'm like, oh. So they, like, it ended up working out for them, but
Yeah.
they had been using, one person in the couple had been using that really high number,
Yeah.
but from the whole time I kept saying, use the low number.
Yeah.
Always use the low number.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
use
Be
$1.05 million
conservative.
for all of your.
Again, you explained to them,
Yeah.
managing their expectations and not promising
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, I said,
So you hadn't listed it yet?
No. So
But
I
you
had,
said something about sign a
so I,
change.
yeah, so we were signing the
Same
listing,
time.
we were getting the listing ready, the MLS listing, and I said, okay, we'll list it at $1,099,000. And they said, we want to list it at $1,199,000, so $1.2 million. And I said, fine, we'll list it at $1.2 million for 1 week. I've known this guy since I was
For
4.
1 week.
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll list it for 1 week, but in 1 week from now, we're changing the price to my price. Because that's what I think it's worth.
And so is a form for that then?
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah,
Well,
a price
they
change.
tried to so,
Yeah, and then they were like,
Is it
so I told you so,
Whatever.
yeah.
We're all done now.
Like, you didn't believe in us. And I
We're
was
all
like,
screwed up.
I don't want to promise, and I said, I don't want to promise you a crazy number because,
It was a unique place to
yeah,
be said.
it's hard to
And they had
price.
to have that one person.
Yeah,
that
and there was
wanted
like one person who, like, it worked out, but if she wasn't here,
Yeah, it would sit.
right? So, always, and
Yeah.
being conservative only works in everybody's best interest too, right? Because it doesn't get them over their head on their purchase or whatever their next plans are. If the seller insists on a higher than market price, get an agreement now that if you have not had a bona fide offer in a short time period, you will reduce the price to your recommended price.
That's what you did.
Yeah, and that's what I did.
Where is that?
Page 18,
Yeah, page, yeah,
bottom part.
yeah, right here. The first few weeks of your home on the market is the most critical and will attract the most serious buyers. If you don't get a good offer in this time, the market is telling you the home is overpriced. Actually, what an agent said to me a few weeks ago was, the market is rejecting your price. It's very like dramatic, but it's good.
Can I ask
The
you a
market is
question?
rejecting us.
Can I ask you, so here, get an agreement, can that just be by email, or like, do you actually do a formal agreement?
Formal agreement, yeah.
What is it, is it?
Price change.
Oh, that is the price change
Yeah.
you're talking about?
Mhm.
Okay.
So new form you can write down to change the price, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Work with a partner. What does this say? Put the essence of the critical price. Okay, what are the factors that drive the price? We don't have to work with a partner. Okay, so the things that drive price are the location, the condition, what's nearby,
And then
you know,
these,
yeah,
the
parking.
land, political, like the landscape, like both,
Yeah, yeah,
like natural landscape and
Yeah.
government.
yeah. So my dad always says, don't have a house for sale like right when there's an election. Because depending on who's voted in, it can really make the market go up or down, right?
Yeah,
That's
so what do
true.
you do? No, I'm not taking that.
You try to wait. Yeah, because the political uncertainty, right? If you bring in a government who's gonna like tax you even more, right? People are gonna be a little bit more hesitant to buy, right? Because they're not gonna have as much money.
No.
What sells? I don't know what that means.
Whatever's price for it.
Yeah, if the price is right.
Price
it's all
rise
down.
What the seller can and can't control.
I guess what sells
Location.
is whatever buyers want to buy.
Yeah.
Location.
And then what the seller can control.
You can't control, location, you can't control like natural, like whether there's a subway right behind your property,
Train line going in the
Um,
backyard.
whether there's a highway close by.
They can't control how many offers they will get.
Yeah.
About the prices.
Mhm. Yeah, the seller can control the market.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they can control how it presents and allow showings. Window of opportunity, that means the first little bit it's on the
Yeah.
market is the best
I
time,
don't
right?
remember how many days it was out there. It was in that chart.
Pricing,
First week, first 2 weeks.
pricing is about market movement, so if you always want to be ahead of the market, right? So price competitively for a quick sale and the most money. And don't chase the market. Don't price it too high.
For that, I think the
Yeah.
right comparables.
Yeah.
Have to pull, because you could pull up comparables from
Mhm.
where it not be this, if they're the same house, but.
Yeah, 2 years ago, it makes no,
Yeah.
it's not even relevant.
Yeah.
CMA. So comparative market analysis is a process by which a property to be listed is evaluated against other comparable properties to determine a recommended list price. You can take your CMA to present information to help the sellers understand and accept the right price for their home. It includes, so comparable houses in a search that you've done, using the 4 main criteria: location, size, amenities, and condition. So similar sized and style of house in that neighborhood and that price range. So you could say I've got a detached house and this one's $1 million and this one's $3 million. That's not a comparable, right?
What do you usually show, for example? You
For-
show them.
To show them comparables,
Yeah.
I look at the style of house and the and the price and the neighborhood, because there has,
What you print for the customer to show them,
oh, the listings.
the listing of each single
Yeah.
home? one
Yeah.
by one.
Yeah, so I bring them all, and then I mark up each page to say, 123 Main Street was detached 25 by 125, it sold for $1,450,000, the list price was $1,299,000. It had one car parking, and this sold in February. And then I mark all that up and
And
make
highlight
notes.
it.
Yeah, highlight it. And
On the MLS,
Yeah.
the picture.
yeah, but it didn't
Efficient.
have, like, it had a really old kitchen and an unfinished basement. And I do that with all the ones in the neighborhood. And then I also
That's what we did in the course.
email them the
Lessons learned.
listing so that they can go through the pictures. Because you don't see any pictures just from the paper listing.
Right.
That was all done in the courses too, like
Oh, okay, yeah,
adding,
the adjustments.
Yeah.
Yeah. Select a small number of recently sold properties and properties pending sale that you believe represent the closest comparison to your seller's property. The number of comps available will be impacted by market conditions. Decide on a price to recommend that takes into account the comparables and your seller's motivation and goals. So if your seller is totally out to lunch and thinks that their, decrepit house that hasn't been like painted since 1973 is worth $2 million in like a bad neighborhood, they like just want to see that they can get $2 million, like they don't really have very good motivation, right? And people can't fight with data, like you can't argue with facts, right? So that's why it's so important to show them the comparables and show them things. This one got $2 million because it's a far superior house to yours, Mrs. Smith. Like I'm sure it was really nice when you moved in, and you've been very good at keeping it well maintained. However, young buyers expect their house to look like a magazine, and unfortunately, to do that, it will cost $700,000 in renovations here. So we have to adjust the price accordingly. And I always like to go over this like in person with the people, or if you can't be with them, write out in point form in an email, everything. Like it depends on who your seller is, right? So some people are like, they're like, just email it to me, and you can email it to them, or some people want to go through it with you in person. So you can decide. I like in person, but I mean, I've also had great success just over email. Pricing recommendations. Present your price recommendation by showing the sellers the following pages from your listing presentation that illustrate your conclusion. So this is if you have a listing presentation. I don't, and I never have had one. I should have one, but I don't.
Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
What do you
every
do then?
business-
When you go,
So we work by referral and repeat. So most of the time when we go in to meet somebody to sell their house, we already have a business. So
oh, I see.
most of the time we're not competing
Oh, that's
against
why you
other
don't have
people.
that.
Yeah, so I'm really, 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 really lucky that way. And even when I have been in competition with other people, I just go and I take my comps and I just talk to them and have a conversation and make it's about them and what their goals are. Don't talk about yourself, because so many people's listing presentations are like, I've won all these awards and I'm the best in my company and I'm so good at this, and it's not about you, it's about what I can do for you. This is a service business, right?
Yeah.
So my goal is to give you great service so that you tell your friends
Right.
to sell or buy with me, right? My goal is to make you happy and get you to your next place.
Right.
It's not about how great I am or my
Seriously, that's
ego.
what some do, eh? Wow.
Yeah.
Um,
And list of so take them the listings and the comps that are good for their property, and do it from a recent time period. So it says here usually the last 30 days, but there's not that much inventory in Toronto, so I go back like 3 or 6 months at the most. And again, write down the details. So point things out to them. Say, your house, like, has been lived in for 53 years and it's never been touched. And this one, a young family is living there right now and they just put in a new kitchen and it has all new bathrooms and a finished basement.
Not
How
to
can you
mention
tell
the-
who's living there? How do you know that young, how would you know necessarily the young families?
Oh, because ideally you've gone to
Oh.
look at all of the ones, or you just
Oh.
look at the pictures,
Oh.
right? You can usually
Not to
tell.
mention the systems, furnace, air conditioning,
Yeah.
that stuff can cost a buyer money
Yeah.
too, so you need to price the house according to
Yeah.
what they're expecting, what the buyer gonna have to do.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
gift, right?
So, like, oh, look, that's like not a skylight, there's just a big hole in your roof, like,
Is your dad,
Oh, yeah,
the
the
plus
roof,
and the
that's
minus,
a-
plus 300, no?
no. If sellers want to go above your recommended price, be sure they know that any offer they accept must meet the test of the buyer's professional appraisal. A price that won't appraise will require additional money from the buyer. So that's also really important, even if you are in a multiple offer situation and somebody brings you a price that is like ridiculous, right? You have to say, is this house gonna appraise for this much? And if you're worried that it's not, then you have to say to the buyer agent, how are your people's financing? Like, what do they do for work? How much money are they putting down? Do they have something to sell? What are they selling? How much is it worth? Do they have a big mortgage? If you really have to get into all of that to make sure that they can close on your buy.
That's when the offer presentation.
Yeah. But even if you, so say you do have that crazy seller who's like, my dump is worth $2 million, and it's in a bad location, and you get some schlub who says that they're gonna pay $2 million for it, you have to make sure that it's gonna appraise, because otherwise it's,
Not gonna close.
yeah, it's not gonna close.
Yeah.
Price per square foot can be a valuable tool, but only when comparables are very close together in terms of features, age, condition, and location.
Sorry, you actually have to get a formal appraisal, is that what you're saying?
The mortgage,
Mortgages will,
Yeah.
yeah,
For the
mortgage,
buyer.
yeah, the lender will want an appraisal before closing.
Oh, yeah. I think I remember what you're talking about, the lending appraisal, not like a house appraisal.
No,
Yeah.
so, you have a house for sale, a buyer comes and buys it, before closing, their lender, because unless they're buying with cash, is gonna wanna have an appraisal. To make sure that they're lending money,
Can cover.
yeah,
do you ever have a case scenario where you didn't close because of appraisal, mortgage appraisal? Do you usually go back to the other offers that were in the competition, as per se?
well,
Or would
so if
do?
it doesn't appraise,
And it doesn't
the
go-
buyer is in a situation, like they have a contract, right?
Right, but you won't,
So-
but what if it won't firm up?
Well, if it's firm, then they have a binding contract, they've
Have to find the money.
got to find the money, right? Otherwise, they're in breach of contract.
But if it's still
But if they
conditional-
still, if it's conditional,
Upon financing.
oh,
And
yeah,
they
it's,
have a out.
yeah, the deal will fall apart.
No, I get that, but do you go to the other buyers and say you had all these multiple offers? Do you go to the other buyers?
Well, if you had
Yeah.
multiple offers, you wouldn't take a conditional.
That's true, sorry. That's true.
Even if it's less money, like a bird in the
That's true.
hand is worth more
Yeah.
than two in the bush. So we've had a situation before where we said, you should take this one, it's $5,000 less, but it's firm. No, I want to take this one because it's more money. And then the people change their mind and you're like, you're so stupid. Like, is $5,000 worth it? Really, $5,000. I can spend that in 15 minutes. No. So. Price per square foot can be a valuable tool, but only when comparables are very close together in terms of features, age, condition, and location. So that's good. Price per square foot is good for condos, right? And then the next page is, so you can put this at the end. My recommendation is based on the following: a detailed custom market analysis, the unique characteristics of your home and its setting, my expertise in the real estate market. And you say, my primary goal is to net you the most money possible. I believe this pricing plan match with my 14-step marketing plan. I don't know what that is. Will draw agents and buyers to your home and position as highly appealing and highly competitive property. So I don't do this. Like, I have a blurb that's kind of like this, and I can share it with you. I'm happy to.
So what would you say, please? So that's by basically at the end? or
Yeah.
before the-
Let me see what I.
Oh, this is part of, I think, the listing presentation.
Yeah, let me see what I say.
And, yeah, price per square foot, I would say that's more condo.
Yeah. Let me see the wording that I use. As requested, we have personally made an inspection of both interior and exterior of the above mentioned property. By reason of said inspection and investigation, it is our opinion the net or the value of said property in this existing condition as of May 3rd, 2019 is between 1,275 and 1,1325. We hereby certify that to the best of our knowledge and belief, the information used to determine this evaluation is true and correct. This opinion is based upon our combined over 44 years experience in selling real estate in Toronto, as well as comparable sales in the area at the time. That's what,
Can you send us that statement? Or?
yeah, I can send that to you.
I just
The
won't have the 44 years.
We have
Yeah.
to make that one.
Yeah, I know,
somehow
I'll
change
have to,
that.
I'll have to just, based on our experience. That's it. I could just say the combined office maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Keller Williams.
like you can say that this is my experience in, like, you could just word it however you want, right?
Won't say anything about years.
And then it says we're supposed to prepare a CMA, but we don't have to do that. And then at the end, do you guys have any questions at all?
You don't do it in the CMA, is it?
No, there's, like, that's the activity.
Oh, I see.
Oh.
Do you have any questions?
So is that the most nerve-wracking moment? So then you leave them with everything and what do? You say,
Well, she's
you know,
already
think
got
about it, or you say, you know, read it through in detail, do you have
Yeah.
any more questions?
Yeah, and always reinforce, no question is a bad question, because I do this all the time, but most people only sell their house
Yeah.
a few
Mhm.
times in their life, if that, right?
Yeah.
So no question is a bad one, ask me anything. And I've also found that when you're talking to people about selling their home and preparing it for sale, to say, especially when, like, it really needs to look good and it doesn't. The target the people that we're gonna target for buying this home are young, upwardly mobile professionals. So we need to make this house appeal to them. So you need to take everything that you have in this house out, and we're gonna bring out we're gonna stage it so that it appeals to those people. We're gonna paint it, and it's gonna be really painful to get that done in the next few weeks. However, I know that we are going to get you more money and your house is gonna sell faster, especially if you listen to me
You're
on
talking to
where we're gonna
dogs.
price. They like, oh, leave. You can't sleep in the bed, no.
So they should leave.
So, because if somebody wants to come look at the house at 9:30 in the morning, they're not like, Sam can't, like, get out of his
Yeah.
pajamas yet, and, like, we haven't made,
I had a
My
shower.
child is
Breakfast.
sick and
Unless you do
dog
the
yeah.
show me instructions, right? If you
Yeah,
see
but it's
24
like,
hours,
but
and
even, like,
it's not beneficial
showing
for them.
restrictions are never good.
No, it's
No.
not beneficial.
Yeah. It's never good to have showing
Not only
restrictions.
that, if people living there, I had a shower 2 days ago, I went to the basement, somebody was using the washroom like,
Yeah.
recently,
Yeah.
like smell awful.
Oh,
Yeah.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Or if it's
Yeah.
rented, so
Yeah.
that's not these.
Yeah.
I know.
That won't help yourself.
I mean,
But if you
but
ever,
it's-
like-
The system is something broken, the system that they call the.
If you're ever worried about, pricing, just call colleagues, and have them be people that you trust, because there definitely are some
Yeah.
sleazeballs who will totally try to steal your clients. So it happens at other brokerages. So just make sure that it's people that
Give us the
you
good people.
really, that you really trust who aren't gonna
Help
go
you
after your
screw
client.
down.
Yeah.
You'll be really busy, Katie.
Do you have any questions?
I'll call you and have questions.
Yeah.
We could ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now?
What do you find is the most challenging part of the listing presentation?
It's all about managing managing them, right? And managing their emotions. Always be calm. Don't get agitated. Or if you are, don't let them see that you're agitated. Just be calm. You are the guiding force through them. Hold their hand, because it can be really emotional.
Yeah.
And when offers come in and they aren't as high as they expect, when you are conservative, you say, well, this is actually right within where I said that we should land, so it's actually not a bad offer.
When you go conservative like that, do you get a lot of under asking?
No. So for like that Cedarvale one, this one,
Right. The 70.
is priced at $789. I was hoping for 100,000, like just over 100,000 more. And I prepared them for that. I said, you may get more, but if you get any more than that, it's a bonus.
So because you priced, you said lower than what you expected, and I thought they did pretty well.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah, they got almost 200 over asking.
That's great. That's amazing.
So, and
You were hoping 300?
no, the price was higher than what I thought they'd get. What was I going to say is, and the pricing strategy, if you're gonna hold back offers, you have to list a little bit lower than market value, right? You can't list at market value and hold back offers, because then you're not gonna get anything.
So when we're doing calls, right, we're calling, do I have to, like, I know do not call us, but like this notice was sold, is that gonna be like something I, on the list that I can't call because it just sold like that?
Or even if this
Yeah,
specific
just- or like
property will be
any
on
property that just sold.
Well, what's better than calling probably is going and door knocking and saying, hey, your neighbor just sold their house.
Yeah.
You know, they got 982.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't cold call, so I'm not that familiar.
Okay. Interesting.
It's good to hear also from
Yeah.
you now that you don't do the cold calling. I mean,
Uh-huh.
yes, you have come from a different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
really
like workshop
fortunate that I
has
came
been
into a
set up
business that
and-
was already
Is
Yeah.
your
set up.
dad always with Cullen?
No,
Just trying to think about
he
it.
was with Sun Group before and Royal LePage before, and a now defunct brokerage called Kingsway National Real Estate. That was next door,
Oh,
1986.
okay, that was the last one. Okay.
No, that was the first one.
And, Royal LePage, Johnson and Daniel?
No, Royal LePage, just a corporate store.
Is that commercial?
Like not a franchise one.
Oh,
Yeah. Johnston and Daniel was its own brokerage, but then they were going out of business, so Royal LePage bought them,
oh, how long ago did Royal LePage buy them?
like in the 90s.
Oh,
I should ask you that.
Yeah.
What he thinks about his experience working for Royal LePage or the other
Well,
compared
the
to
split
Canada.
was 49-51, I think. That's why he left, yeah.
I think it's also more a bit elbows out and you're on your own, I could be wrong.
I know from talking to lots of friends at other brokerages that the camaraderie and the culture of Keller Williams is completely different from any other brokerage.
Yes. Very necessary of that.
Yeah.
Right now. 'Cause I'm going to.
Where do you work now?
Well, I'm not, I'm, sorry, I just, I haven't signed anything.
Oh,
I had put my name in. Did not
You know,
sign
but-
it.
oh, okay.
You know, 5 years ago, I got my license. I've been in real estate for a long time, but as a investor and as a consultant, property manager. But 5 years ago, I decided to get my license in real estate, and I did. My cousin advised me. My cousin's very successful in LA. He advised me to find a Keller Williams. They have the best training, they have the best support. It's an excellent environment.
Yeah.
And I was like, Keller Williams, what are those Keller Williams here? And I don't need training. Like whatever support, other brokerages would give you support as well. And I was with the brokerage for a while, for a long time until I moved here. And it's just a day and night.
Day and
The difference is day
Yeah.
and night, and it's a huge brokerage as well. You know?
When did you switch?
In November, end of November,
So you've been with Keller since November?
since November, yeah.
And you were
Huge
with,
difference.
yeah, because even the other environment, like just, the camaraderie, no one like, there's no camaraderie, and everyone's, doing their own thing. And then like, just asking about listing presentations, well, we have something somewhere, we could probably dig it up. Well,
But it's not only those
like
kind of
just
services.
helping
though.
those kinds of things, and just, like even asking, I told you about the training. I just said, like, I know that just, like, trying to look at something, I have nothing to do with, they just send me a business plan. And there's no like help, like, you've got to say, oh, you need to do this, let's try to get accountable together, nothing like that. And, no, it was like pulling teeth, I never got anything.
But it's not only
The training,
or
it's
you
like
want those, but it's not only the training
Yeah.
or.
Yeah.
Like,
3
I
months.
wanna know,
No, she did, I said.
Yeah, I'm saying
She said
that-
you can find it.
or something else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She said.
yeah.
I'll be lost.
Yeah, it was,
I
we
need
can't
to do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
There's a lot to
it
know.
wasn't indirect.
there is.
But it's not only, giving you support in, giving you a template for this, a template for
Yeah.
that, sitting down with, it's the whole philosophy of the brokerage.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
with Keller Williams, I find that you're in, it feels like you're in a personal professional development program.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you are at in your business. I mean, if you're making nothing or you're making $1 million, you're still developing yourself. There's still something else out there
Yeah.
for you, and Keller Williams provides that.
Yeah.
You can't find it in any other brokerage. And I mean, the other.
And you've been
brokerages-
around, like you know, because you've been, how long in real estate now? You've been a long time.
Well, I started in 2003,
Yeah.
but not as a realtor.
Yeah.
But now, like 5 years as a realtor.
Oh, 5 years you've been.
5 years.
That's long enough.
Pardon?
Which company is it you've been with?
My email,
Um,
Kate, Kate, at,
Thank you so much, Katie. That was good.
oh, you're welcome,
That's very
thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
Kate at davidandkateyoung.com.
David and Jan?
And, like A-N-D,
Yeah.
Kate, K-A-T-E,
Young.
yeah, YOUNG.com.
Okay. All right,
And
Katie.
when your dad started, did he used to door knock?
Dad?
Yeah.
Thank
He
you,
got
Katie.
his very, oh, thank you. He got his very first listing from door knocking, like, over here. Or on
See, it
Glenmore or
works.
something.
1980 something.
Mhm.
So did you grow up in this area or in the
I
West?
grew up at Bayview in Davisville until I was about 12, and then we moved to the West End, but I didn't want to move there, so my parents kept me
Oh,
in our house. Yeah, and then I moved back after I finished my undergrad. And then we bought a new house years ago, but we just lived 3 blocks away from where I grew up. My husband grew up in the neighborhood too.
Davisville and Bayview.
Yeah, Davisville, Bayview.
I used to live, so when I met my husband, he lived in an apartment on Sudan Avenue.
Oh, yeah.
Arlington.
Mhm.
So that's,
Yeah.
I remember, you know, when you don't have kids, you
Yeah.
live right there. It was right across the art shop. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
they
yeah,
want.
yeah.
And I liked it.
Yeah.
It was a fun area.
Yeah.
When I was pregnant, I said, I'm not walking, taking the elevator. I said, I don't want you to sound spoiled. I don't want to take the elevator to do my laundry.
Yeah.
No, it was time to move out.
Yeah, I was living there also 3 years, Davisville.
Oh, yeah.
American, baby.
Like in one of the
Beautiful,
apartments?
Yeah, it's
I
know.
it's
It's
really
nice.
nice. Huh?
Where were you living?
On those 111, I remember?
111? Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. For 3
Yeah.
years was.
Yeah, it's, and they're big units, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They do renovation, they change the
Yeah.
balconies,
Yeah.
and things like that.
Mhm.
But the place
Yeah, there is like one or two reasons. I used to live in Little Lawson.
Yeah.
I lived there for 10 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Four different buildings.
Which one?
Lawton Boulevard.
Oh, yeah.
And you had a listing in Oriole not too long ago, I think last year. I remember seeing it. Oriole. you
Oh,
were there.
Heidi. Heidi has one on Oriole Gardens. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's, but we did
I
a,
remember saw you one
my,
last year.
yeah, but my people moved into it for a little while. It was like a short-term rental.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Just Jen.
Thank you, Katie, for, thank you.
Pricing, how was it, guys?
Good. Today's great.
Yeah?
Allie, I told you it was worth coming back for Katie. Allie came to see me.
Was it worth it? Really?
I remember you
It's
guys.
just, I've never taught any of these things before, so thank you for being patient.
Oh,
Thank
was
you.
really very good.
informative.
It's like
Yeah.
friendly group.
Someone's got the button.
Okay, I'm stealing you again. Mark, oh.
So how do we evaluate it?
Yeah.
Do we evaluate
She
her?
read the whole thing.
Instructor?
Thank you again.
Thank you for coming.
Alessandra Fernandez, A-L-E, no, one L, A-L-E-S-S, A-N-D-R-E, Fernandez,
What is that?
no, S,
Yes.
K-W. Did you manage to get the cards, business cards?
Yes, I did.
Yay. When are you getting them?
Oh, I got them
Oh,
already.
can I have one,
I
please?
just, yes, I just did one without a picture because
Yeah, me too.
I thought it's better to have cards than waiting for the right picture. Yeah, which might never happen.
Maybe when I get that.
You don't
email
even need-
about listing.
You don't even need your picture on your card,
Yeah.
just your name and your contact. We actually don't even have our, thank you. We don't have our
That's awesome.
picture on our card
That's a
anymore.
great card.
Dad was really
But it's
into it.
always up to date, right?
Yeah, for a long
So 5
time.
years, I still look the same.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I won't, but people won't be
All
shocked when
the
they see
same.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Katie.
Oh, thank you guys.
No, I really like it. It's all, you can almost get the, you can do like like your logo, and then have like a logo and stuff. You can CBG, like I really like it.
I like it too.
With
With Eddie
that,
together,
Eddie?
yes. Then,
Nice.
yeah, so he sent it. Yeah, just the writing, and I said I want simple.
It's nice
And
and
he
big
said, don't
letters.
have this line here around, because sometimes it's not really little, and you have to
Right.
send it back, it's not centered.
Like yeah.
So I guess it's nice too.
Too much information. That's good.
You know what? I think I've got,
200? 250 maybe or 500?
I can't remember.
I got a promotion for 500
I know, maybe I got that too.
It's
Yeah.
like 250 for something or
Yeah, I think I said let's get 500 so I don't have to worry. Yeah, I like it.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah. There it goes.
Yay.
Oh my gosh, I was with this really nice couple.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was
it's
the
there.
with the relocation.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get an appointment at the bank, so usually I, go to the city hall, get the social insurance number, go for coffee, go over all the things.
Yeah.
Then we walk to the bank, appointment is arranged, and I tell them what they have to get. So, including checks and stuff. And then I don't stay there because it's an hour, right?
Oh.
But nobody replied back to me, so I said, we will just walk into the bank and then arrange and see when we can come in. But they said, oh, in a few minutes you can stay, so I got stuck there basically, which, it's okay. I mean, what would I have done here in that hour? But that's why I was also late. So it was, I think, over an hour at the bank.
Oh my God.
And I always learn something new. But
But
hour and a
everything went
half,
okay?
and then we walked back to, so because they just arrived last night at 11. They've never been here.
I was gonna
They
ask,
haven't even seen it in the
did
daylight.
you talk about the agent? They have
So
an agent?
what they do with this, yeah, the Ubisoft, so they do the games
Okay.
in the games industry, they provide a realtor.
Oh,
They say, this is your contact, you will be contacted by this person,
Oh.
by this brokerage.
mm.
So they already have deals lined up.
Okay. Nice
But I
service, so-
phoned up some other former clients from the, he's a pretty nice guy, and so I called him last week. He was one of the people I informed, and he said, oh, we actually need to look for a place, but anyway, I spoke to him yesterday, and he said, we started talking, and he said, oh, you know what, have you spoken to HR from Ubisoft? And that's my idea, that I go there. I said, yeah, I'm thinking, I thought about it, but I haven't done anything yet. He said, I'm going to speak tomorrow to the HR person who's in charge of the global department service, whatever, relocation department, and we'll talk to them. He said, because I was so unsatisfied with the realtor who assisted them. I said, oh, that's fantastic. So I have to write my little thank you note.
Yes,
And he lives very
I
close
need
by.
to arrange a welcome home gift for my apartment. I am waiting for an answer. The lawyer was calling, so they closed today,
The
right?
other day, but I think it is a nice gift. Hudson's Bay blanket.
Oh, yeah.
It's Canadian. It doesn't have to be the blue one. I don't know. It
No,
maybe
I
can
know,
be
yeah, 'cause it's like
two
part of the
little things. It can be two. I also
Yeah.
think, nice kitchens help something a little nicer. And then you add some.
Yeah, the blanket's a really good idea.
I like the blanket, and so they have them on special right now, I think. So instead of $50 there. But I think a blanket, I mean, it's a Hudson's Bay blanket. And you know them, they're your
Yeah.
friends, right?
Yeah.
So you know if they would like it or not.
They would like it.
Or something for the outside, like a garden
Right,
ornamental.
right.
They have all these fun ones at home sets.
Yeah, no, she's not a broker garden. She's not a big garden person.
Yeah, but it doesn't need to be a garden thing, it can be something that, like an accent, something that you stick in and it has a whatever, a spiral thing and a ball in the middle and
Oh, I see.
something,
Just decoration for the actual.
yeah. They have really cool
Or a
looking ones.
rug, like a walking rug for the front of the house.
Yeah, yeah. If where they're moving from a house or,
Parking. They were renting.
that's a good idea. And that's something you don't go out and buy yourself. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for him to text me or her.
So they're
to
getting
confirm
the-
that they got the keys.
So the tree,
Oh, yeah, they got it.
is it gone?
So it's
Oh,
there.
but they do it,
They might do it this weekend, which I need to be there.
oh, you still film?